Hey guys, this is Dr. Rob, the Addiction Doctor. Good to be here, guys. This is Breaking Through Addiction with my co-host usually, Jennifer Lovely. Jen, how are we doing today?
Doing good. It's still cold, but
awesome. I love this cold. I'm out there with my Christmas jumper on, living the dream instead of dreaming of living. You know the deal.
I do.
So, guys, listen. I know you listen on Facebook Live. Welcome. Second one today, and on YouTube Live. Welcome. But don't forget, during the week, it jumps up to 65 platforms. We're up to about 500,000 viewers now, I think, or just under. So this is awesome, and this is the place to be. Let's tell you before I start, I got to say something, guys. Living Recovery Interventions is a sponsor of ours. By the way, guys, if you want to be a sponsor, you have to, and I say have to, call Janet. And everyone knows who Janet is. If you don't, just visit my website. Because not everybody gets on. If you're in the right industry doing the right thing, then you can get on our show. Because you and I know we're going to be syndicated next year. So we're not going to take any old crap that comes on in and talk shit just because we got a large audience. So Living Recovery Interventions, recovery begins today. Recovery begins together. Give the gift of recovery. Let me talk about Travis. He's one of our good friends, and he's an interventionist. We're talking about a guy who went from Xanax, seizures, to a crash at 120 miles an hour, and he still lived. So he knows what he's talking about. 801-573-4188 or livingrecoveryinterventions.com is the website. He's an absolutely amazing guy. Remember, recovery begins today. Recovery begins together. 801-573-4188. What do you reckon, Jen?
I love it. And I think that you can get away with saying stuff like, we don't take any shit and all that because you have an accent. And maybe our guests can get away with being like that as well because he has an accent. I think it's just like this accent thing. It makes you kind of like cool or something like that. What do you think?
I agree with you 100%. It makes, when you say something, it's just like, oh, that sounds so good.
I know.
Like, stop talking shit, will you dick? Oh, that sounds, say that again.
Tell me more. Yes.
All right. Exactly. Yeah. So anyway, let me tell you about our guest because he's a friend of mine. I only met this guy a couple of months ago. I don't know when it was, but I was on his show, and it's one of them instant like bonding shit. Where have you been all my life type of guys? Because the guy is a rock star. First of all, he lives with rock stars or used to. He knows everybody who's anybody. He's a world Guinness Book Records holder for doing 30 half marathons in 30 days. Crazy guy, absolutely crazy guy. So about a guy who was a staunch addict and alcoholic. He works with people today, and he has a new product coming out, of which I still haven't got my free sample. No, he's not going to send me samples. He's going to send me like a box of them, Oh, and he should be a sponsor on the show. We'd take him, wouldn't we, Jen?
I know. I was just going to say that when you were talking about sponsors. I was like, Mike
Diamond, $30 a show. Shut up. I'm telling you. Oh my! What? Everyone's going mind blown. We're paying like $600 each. What you do? Mike's a friend of mine. He's awesome. So listen, guys, hang around. This one you don't want to miss. Believe me. Hang around. We're back with Mike Diamond after this break. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. My name is Dr. Rob, the Addiction Doctor, along with Jennifer Lovely. This is Breaking Through Addiction, and Mike Diamond's on the show.
How are you?
Awesome, man. Well, so to say that we're glad to have you on is one of the biggest understatements in the world. It's like you were on for about 4 months or something. It's like, when Mike's on, Mike's on, when's Mike on, when's Mike on? So my wife kept saying, shut up. It was sometime in November. So awesome to have you here, man. Absolutely awesome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's really interesting when you said when you meet people, and lately it's since the pandemic, it's been very interesting. The people that I synchronize with, I can meet them once. I'm like, oh, that's my friend for life. Mm-hmm. And then I've had friends for life, and I'm like, I'm dropping you off at the bus stop.
Yes. Wow. How true is that?
Right? I'm sorry, but it's true. You meet people, you're like, yeah, you're not on my frequency. I'm sorry.
No.
Love you, gotta leave you.
Yeah. I know. I love that. That is so true. And sometimes you meet them in the most random places, like on a plane or, it's bizarre. Hey, so on that, tell me about your frequency. Tell me what you do. Tell me your story. I don't know your story, so I can't wait to hear.
All right. Well, I'll give you. We don't have hours, but
Hours.
I was born in Perth, which is the most isolated capital city in the world, and got into using very young, 12, drinking, doing drugs, a lot of physical and mental abuse in the environment. Undiagnosed dyslexic, so I had trouble processing at school. But I was a really good athlete, so people thought I was just, distracted. Now, if a kid sneezes, he's got OCD, ADHD. Years ago, you were just stuck in stupid.
Yeah.
And, when you're from Perth, before the internet, and you dream of coming to America, everyone looks at you like you're out of your mind.
Right.
So I kind of had this crazy thing where I could just think greater than my environment. And I didn't need a lot of information. So very young, I left Perth and went to Sydney after high school and auditioned for acting school. And then there was this incredible moment at acting school where I was just like, I don't want to be here. I want to be in America. So I believe I didn't understand the law of attraction back then. I didn't understand synchronicity. I just believed in, if another human being can do it, I can do it. I just got to figure out how to close the gap. And I walked into a clothing store and I asked them for a job. And the guy said, "You've never sold clothes?" I said, "No." And he goes, "If you can sell clothes to the next person walking in, I'll give you a job." Lady walked in. It was a menswear boutique. Gave her a wink and a smile. I said, "Are you looking for something for your husband or your son?" She said, "Actually, my son." I said, "Give me a second." I could always act and I was charming. So I went and grabbed the outfit out of the window, went into the change room, tried it on. The outfit fitted. She bought it. I had myself a job. So I started hustling, in the clothing store, saving money. And the crazy thing is, when you talk about frequency and synchronization, I always tell people, you have to have the balls to tell people what you want continually, and you'll bring that into your frequency. That's the reticular activating system of the brain. Like attracts like. The brain focuses and then expands. So I was doing the same song and dance, and this lady came in. I sold her some clothes, and she said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "I'm moving to America." And she said, "You should enter the green card lottery." And I was like, "I know I smoke crack, but do you? Like, what are you talking about?" And I'll cut it short. The next day, she brought me in a green card lottery ticket. I sent it in, and like goddamn Willy Wonka, I won a green card in a lottery.
Wow.
What's the chances of that?
Oh yeah,
What?
back
It's like a
then
million to one.
it was like a tiny chance. Like there was no chance. Now it's very difficult because of terrorism, and you can't just send in a ticket and hope. There was millions of people that used to enter, and I won the green card. And I moved to America with nothing. I just moved here with just a belief in myself.
I love that so much because back in January, I reached out to Dr. Rob, didn't know him, saw him on Facebook, and I was like, "Hey, you should start talking on Facebook Live." And he's like, "Okay." And
I don't know too much. I don't know this crazy.
so then I was like, "We should start doing Wednesday Wisdoms." He's like, "Okay." And then somewhere in the middle, he tried to ditch me. And I was like, "Oh, no. We should really start doing this." And so here we are.
So you just nailed a very important thing. Most people are afraid to ask.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a perfect example. Can you see? There's my supplement, right?
Yes.
It's called Mind Focus Fuel. Okay. So I'll tell you how this happened. I ran 30 half marathons in 30 days August last year, after I nearly died from septic shock. So I got rushed to the hospital on my birthday. My appendix burst, and the doctor said, "You're 50-50. Now, I have ulcerative colitis. And being sober in recovery only 15 years, I don't take drugs or anything. I do it clean. I do it natural. And I'd healed myself naturally from the colitis. But then when I went through the stomach surgery, I was done. Then my baby came 7 weeks premature. So I was like, oh my God. So I'd never run a half marathon, and I watched a woman run a half marathon, and I was really inspired, and she ran 100 miles after that. And then I always tell people, you go to the source. So if you do something that I think's incredible, right? Or if you look at Jeff Bezos, who opened Amazon, if you go and look at his journey, he started selling packages by himself. He went to the post office himself. People want a trophy without doing the training.
Yep.
You've got to do the road work, and you've got to have a clear vision. So what I did is took the addict mentality. Is like, I'm going to make it work. I'm going to figure it out. And I ran 1 half marathon, and then a year later ran 30 in 30 days and broke a world record.
Wow.
So what happened when COVID hit, I started writing a new book, and everyone was selling me products, sending me products. And I was like, all these products suck. They mess up my stomach.
Right.
So I have a friend. He's a very wealthy guy. He owns 120 gyms, and he's the supplement king. I get up at 4 a.m. every day. I know he's up at 4, so what do? I text him at 4 a.m, like you did to Rob, and I said, I've got an ingredient, and I know it's going to work. I need your help. He said, be over my house in an hour. Now remember, people are still sleeping. I'm at his house in an hour at 5 a.m, right?
Yeah.
He said, do you have the money to pay for the ingredient? I said, yes. He said, I'll send it to the lab. We sent it to the lab. The lab approved it.
Wow.
Now, I call one friend of mine who's 18 years sober that I trust in Vegas. I said, he's a real estate guy. He's all about mental health. I said, let's collaborate. You be my business partner. I'm the front end guy. I'm the marketing guy. I run 10 miles a day. I'm out of my mind. You're a little different. You can dot the I's and cross the T's that I need. And we collaborated. And then, 60 days later, we have a tub, which you'll get a box, Rob, of the supplement.
Amazing.
Now, the great thing about the supplement is this. This is what I did. So it's got 1,000 milligrams of turmeric. That is good for the stomach and good for the inflammation. It has 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. People need their vitamin C, especially in COVID, the immune system drops. Now, what I found out through my experimenting, and who would think a kid that got kicked out of school for drugs would end up opening a supplement company. I experiment with everything. So if you take 200 milligrams of pure caffeine with 200 milligrams of L-theanine, you don't get the spike and the crash. You get a nice elevated feeling, and then you don't plateau, unlike your Starbucks coffee, which ruins your brain.
Yeah.
Then I mixed L-tyrosine and L-phenylalanine. Those two supplements spike the dopamine receptor naturally.
Wow.
Unlike if you go to get Prozac or Zoloft, they mess with the serotonin, but they mess with it unnaturally. So once they spike the serotonin, just like testosterone. So I put it all together, and everyone loves it. I've given it to emergency workers, first responders. My postman takes it. We're a week in, and we're selling tubs because people try it, and they're like, wow, I could lift weights on this. I could go to the office on this. I didn't want to create a pre-workout where you just have to lift weights and get that anabolic pump, and then you're sitting in your office going crazy, or you're on the freeway trying to kill someone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I was just going to say two things. A, love to have a tub. But I also think, because I always ask, because I'm not afraid, but also what I want to say is that I have lupus, and I'm in remission from lupus because I healed it naturally.
See?
I'm totally with you on that. It's all about.
Well, and Dr. Rob will say, look, what people don't understand is, someone said to me the other day, I was on a podcast, and they're like, how do you run 10 miles a day? And I go, look, I run to heal, not to hurt.
Yeah.
It's about doing things that are mindful in the practice to get you out of your sympathetic nervous system. Right? To get in your parasympathetic nervous system. There's no point in doing 2 hours of Bikram yoga and coming out stressed like a ball, and then someone cuts you off on the freeway and throwing your Starbucks coffee at them.
Right.
That's becoming a sport. That's not a mindfulness practice.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? We've got to do things to heal ourselves so we have longevity, but it's spiritual longevity.
Which is the best longevity in the world. It's just once you get there, you can't fix anything really in addiction if you have an addictive brain with a drug. So Suboxone and everything, as far as I'm concerned, is kind of through the window. It's okay for short term, but you can't rely on it forever. But we're talking about a supplement like this. I love the idea that you can take it, you can work out, you can go to the office, and you can come on and watch a movie. Nobody has that. I take
No.
the workout, and like you said, by the time I get an hour, what a great workout I've had. But then I get into a fight at work because someone's pissed me off and I'm all pumped up. So take me back real quick because we're going to do 10% in the disease. I'm going to come up to 90% with all the great stuff you've done. But I'm intrigued, and I don't think I've ever asked you, what was your final day of hell when you finally said, you know something, I've had enough, I've got to turn my life around, and the mindset changed?
All right. I was with Scott Weiland, who was my business partner at the time, and we were shooting a VH1 show after I helped put together Miami Inc. And we were on a pretty big bender, and I just wasn't feeling good anymore. It wasn't about finances. I owned the rock club with the biggest rock stars in the world. I had all the celebrity friends. I watched him, and his wife at the time was like arguing with him about, I'm going to leave. And, you know, I never talk about someone else's story, but I looked at him and I was like, you know, I thought I would have arrived. I would have felt content. I would have felt like I'm at the top of the mountain and I feel good. And I didn't. I felt like shit. I just didn't feel the way I thought of accumulating all this so-called success. And I was like, you know what? And I had some friends that were 15 years sober. And I was like, I got sober a few times before this. And I was like, I'm just going to stop. I'm just going to stop drinking, doing drugs, everything. I'm going to walk into a meeting. I'm going to shut up. And I'm not going to put a time on it. I'm just going to sit there and just be of service and listen, because this one side has not given me what I felt it was going to give me. So it wasn't like I was financially broke. I'd done so much. I was doing an 8-ball of Coke a day and drinking a bowl of vodka, and I could literally go to the gym and show up and go to meetings and close business deals and TV shows. I was completely insane. And was still like, would be good to people and do stuff. But I was like, how can I push myself so far one way and not feel good? And it was really that. It was that quickly. I walked into a meeting. I listened to a bunch of people. I identified with it. I said, okay, we're all the same. And then it was 3 meetings a day.
It's funny you should say that, Mike, because I remember when I was in Dallas that we owned half a floor of the most prestigious medical building in Highland Park. We're talking about a $12,000 a month rent. It was phenomenal. We had the best doctors of the best doctors in this building. So when we got in there, we know we'd made it. I come from a home and I'm driving in my Porsche 911 GT3 with my Rolex watch on, a chain worth about 10 grand around my neck. I've got a backpack from Louis Vuitton worth about 4 grand. I'm driving down the road and I am the saddest person in the world because I was the same. If I get this, I said to my wife once, you know, if I get 100 grand in the bank, I'm done. You'll see me smiling every day because I won't have a worry in the world. Now, when I got 100 grand, I said to her, you know, if we had 200, it's kept going and kept going and kept going. There's no end to it. So it was only a short time ago. And then I spoke to you and a couple of other guys that I found 2 things I found. First of all, that peace and happiness comes from within. You can take all this shit that I've got right now, and I have a lot of toys, take them all away tomorrow. I'll be okay. I'll really be okay. And the other thing that I realized is I'm never going to be blonde enough, tall enough, thin enough, or rich enough. And when I take that on board and go, hey, you know, I can live with that. I can finally live. And then my wife said to me one day, I'm always dieting. I'm always getting in shape. And then when I'm not on TV, I eat like crazy. Then I'm yo-yoing back and struggling like crazy in the gym and starving myself. And it's been back and forth, you know. And she said to me one day, Mike, she says, rather than trying to get a body that people love, why don't you just love your body? And I was like, whoa, my God. And that's what I've done ever since. So it's the mindset. It's a get up and go. I don't care what challenge I put in front of you. You're probably going to do it because you have that mindset.
Yeah. You know what? The best thing for me was COVID. I'll be honest with you. I lost 250 speaking gigs and I sat down, stay in process, and I started writing, and the new book fell out of me because it needed to be. And all I focused on was how can I bring value and be of service to other people? And everything has moved so much faster because I get out of myself. I think of you. I think of Jennifer. I think of who I can serve. I always pick up the phone. And that wasn't me before. Because, you know, when I went through September 11, I was like, oh my God, I was in the city, everything was coming down. I had that scarcity mindset because I was still using. Now I'm all about abundance. I give this to my postman. I ride around the street pushing my baby in a stroller, running 10 miles a day, and I sell the product and I just help people out. And I never had that before. That's why I always say to people, time, money, and resources, right? To achieve something. People say they never have enough time. It's because they're wasting time. It's what you're doing over the 24 hours, right? Look at someone that's crushing it, model their behavior, right? Money. You don't need money. If I can bring value to you and be of service, you'll pay me for the service, right? Resources, be resourceful. You could run a marathon barefoot like a Kenyan if you want. That's when people say, oh, I can't go to the gym. I'm like, really? Do some push-ups, go for a walk, do some squats in the house. And that's what people don't get. You just have to be resourceful. People are looking, and this is what I learned years ago. People are looking for a white light experience. It's work that has no end. Yesterday's food does not keep me full today. The 10 miles I did this morning has nothing to do with what I do tomorrow. If I don't do it every day, and that's the spiritual part of any kind of recovery, it's doing it moment by moment by moment. And that's what people don't get. They accumulate a lot of time, but they don't have a lot of moments.
Yeah. And I love what you say. I love what you said about that. And I'm curious what, you talk about a spiritual practice and your life seems really spiritual. And I don't know, that's what I'm, picking up. But one of the things that I know, and I know for myself, I know for my children who were, they're recovering heroin addicts. Human beings do not change unless shit has gone south.
Correct.
So I'm curious, did you have a spiritual awakening? Or was it just like, I'm empty? And
go ahead. It was more empty. I'll tell you why. I knew authentically I wasn't being authentic. It was more intuition. Like I knew, look, when people say to me, my higher power is the room or my higher power is a chair. I'm like, I'm sorry, you're an idiot. I'm sorry. Your higher power is inside you.
Yeah.
You're intuitively got to get in touch with your source. And then your source will guide you. That's why when people say, well, I don't know what to do, I'm like, you do know what to do if you slow down and listen to you. People got offended with COVID and they're like, we're being told to go inside. No, you're being told to go inside yourself.
Yeah.
People are saying, they're like, did you see The Social Dilemma on Netflix? I'm like, yeah, it's not a social dilemma.
Uh-oh. I bet his computer died.
No, I'm here.
Oh.
Are you there?
Yeah.
Sorry.
You.
Have you paid the electricity bill, Mike?
I did. I don't know what just happened. Something happened. Can you get me back on? I can hear you.
Okay. Give me 1 second. Guys, this is Breaking Through Addiction. Going to go to a break for Recover Me Coaching. We'll be back with Mike just after this. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. My name is Dr. Rob, the Addiction Doctor, as usual, along with Jennifer Lovely. We have Mike Diamond in the Dark. And that should be in the new album, Mike. This is Mike Diamond in the Dark.
Why? I can hear you guys, and you can't see me for some reason. Where did I go?
Well, what are you on? Are you?
I'm on my iPad, but
he's clean and sober. He's clean and sober. I told you.
And what am I on? Should I go back out and try and log back on?
Yeah, that's fine. Try that.
That's a good idea.
Sorry.
We'll see you shortly.
Hold on.
No problems. Let's have a look what we can do for him. Okay. Bang. There we go. Whew, there we go. Wow. What did I tell you so far, though? The guy's crazy.
I know.
It's a good kind of crazy, though,
No, I mean, it's authentic. It's real. I'm enjoying the conversation. It's really awesome.
Am I back? Hey,
Mike. How are you? Good to see you.
That? Our frequency was too intense. They dropped me.
That's what it was. That's exactly what it was.
Someone's higher power got pissed off and hit me with a chair.
There's a light bulb out there pissed off at you.
Like, dude, it's like someone that maybe saw me in a meeting go, I don't like that guy.
There's so much more. There's so much more about us that we don't know about us. There's so much more we can do with the brain. So much more we can do with the central nervous system that we just don't explore. And I think, today, 21st century, everything's online. Everything's too fast. Everything's, everything. No one's got time for anything. And I just wish that people would slow the fuck down. There's a yoga guru on my one of the apps that I've got. Let me have a look which app it is real quick because it's really important. This is awesome. TikTok. So, and this is how he starts it. He goes, okay, guys, shut the fuck up, sit down, and just give me 15 seconds of your life. And I thought, wow. And I do that every time it comes on. And it just makes so much difference to me. And you can see, Mike, in your face that you're a peaceful guy, and you're at peace with yourself. You have a beautiful family. You got some amazing friends. You have a great show. It's just life has come together for you. And I know people are asking, what's the one, if there is one, the most important thing in life to do on a daily basis?
All right, this is how I do it. You have to stretch the body and breathe. Every day at 4 a.m. when I get up, I stretch. And when I say stretch, I go deep, deep. People can't stretch in life if you don't stretch the body. Okay? So they carry all this tension. You've got to stretch the body out, and you have to breathe diaphragmatically and get yourself centered. And you have to be able to sit for at least 10 minutes mindfully every morning, quiet when nothing's going on, and watch the thoughts go by. Get in the practice of watching the thoughts, just like they're cars on the freeway, right? Because then you create a gap from stimulus and response. So when information comes in, you're used to watching it, being curious, stepping back from it, and then responding correctly, not reacting and being triggered. That's basic mindfulness, right? So you've got to set the tone every morning. Then you must exercise every day, some kind of exercise. I like to lift weights first, and then I go into a lot of cardio. The reason I do cardio mindfully, hours of cardio, whether it's hiking, running, cycling, is because I find myself, here's the thing. You can't cheat running 10 miles a day. You can't get that in a pill. You can't get that on the Wheaties box. You know what I'm saying? That's where I realize when you get out and run for hours, you find your truth. Running's hard. Getting out and running 10 miles, and especially I'm pushing a 70-pound, I got 30-pounder baby and 50-pounder stroller up hills. I can't lie. And guess what? I find myself in every run. And I always tell people, successful people do the work no matter how they feel. Unsuccessful people only want to work when they feel good and they feel right. What happens if you never feel good? What happens if you never feel right? That means you never do any work.
Yeah.
But it's also part of what I experienced with you, and what doesn't lie is your authenticity. You're a no bullshit kind of guy. There's no, and there's no, and there's no pretense to it. It's just like, this is this, and this is this, and here we go. I wrote a book in the middle of a pandemic. I wrote a book about a pandemic in the middle of the pandemic. Right. And so we do have to go inside. And I think the beauty of COVID is that it is teaching us that we can find peace in ourselves, that we can go inside and we will be okay no matter what, right? We're humans, we will be okay no matter what. So talk to me about, as you got sober, what was the thing that, what was the next click for you? What was the next thing that I'm sober, now what?
Well, I wanted to make a transition because I was in the restaurant business for years and the bar business. And then I was so used to dealing with a lot of celebrities. A friend of mine said, look, do you want to get into the intervention game? You're just good with people. And I was already always coaching people, but I was like, you know what? I'll just dive into interventions. And I am the kind of guy that I guess I had that humility coming from Australia with nothing. That
Mm.
if I say I'm going to do it, I'm doing it. I lived in New York 10 years. You don't play. If you're going to show up in New York, someone will punch you in the face if you lie.
Right.
And this is before there was social media and you could post cool pictures. Like you had to do it. So I would literally get on the phone. People would say, "Give me an address." And they're like, you're starting off in this intervention thing. You have to go anywhere, anytime. I said, yeah, I'll get them to rehab. And I would go to crack houses and I would fly people from city to city. And I would sit there for days and detox people on detox floors. And I just became the guy that it didn't matter. Families would call me, and in the middle of the night, I'd go through a window and find someone. And I just got committed to, if someone would have told me 15 years ago when I owned a bar with all the rock stars and I'd done TV shows that I would be doing this work in a crystal ball, I'd be like, you're out of your mind.
Right.
But it's so right for me to be of service, and it feels so right for me to help others that I don't ever stress. I have not one stressful day because I know my purpose. My purpose is to inspire people, educate people, motivate people, help them find their potential so they can live, love, and matter.
That's amazing. I love that. I've got to tell you a little story because I thought it was hilarious. So I was on an intervention. Well, I got a call about an intervention, and they tried it 4 or 5 other times, and it hadn't worked. And 3 of the 4 times, it ended up with violence. The son would go for and he punches, and the police were called, and he got locked up. He got let back out again. Anyway, they called me, and they explained the situation. And they said, it's going to be hard. So, we want to be prepared. We want to tell you the whole story before you come in, but we need him to go. There's a guy there, and his father was a police officer. So I said, hey, can I handcuff him? And he went, yep, I'll stand behind that. No problems at all. I'll say he hit you. Can I throw him in the trunk of my car? He said, yep, no problem at all. I said, okay, I'll take it. So they paid me an extortionate amount of money because of the risk, So I got a friend of mine who's handy, and I got a girl. I always take a girl so I can soften the situation. So I'm thinking before I go, and he's a big guy. He's a big ex-service guy or special services. So I'm like, well, if he comes at me, at least I've got to look the part, So I shaved my head, Mike. I shaved my head, and I'm still bodybuilding the time. And I'm like, I'm huge. I look like every time somebody walked past me, they're going, holy shit, who is that guy? I looked as mean as a junkyard dog, I'm telling you. And I got all my stuff ready, and we bowled down. We did the night before, made sure everything's okay, stayed in the hotel. Anyway, the next day come, my guys went in, they sat him down, they're talking to him, and they come to the door, he went, he's like this, he's not going. So in comes me. Rob bolts in, almost kicks the door down, walks straight, he looks at me and goes, holy shit, let's go. I'm like, I've just shaved my head for this. Are you kidding me? He must have been just at that time. I don't fancy him. Let's go. So we bought handcuffs for nothing.
Oh my God.
Nothing, but yeah, happy days.
I remember going, this is actually a true story. I get a phone call and it's on Crenshaw Boulevard. They're like, can you pick this guy up? He was a big dude, big white dude. And I thought it was going to be a big black dude, but he was a white dude. And his brother just leaves him. And they said, get him to the airport, get him to Utah. I'm like, okay, so I'm in LA. So I'm like, let's go get something to eat. He said, all right. So I'm trying to think of how I'm going to trick him, right? So I was like, do you have any ID on you? He said, no. And I'm like, oh my God. So I was like, all right, here's the deal. I feed him up so he gets clear. He's still a little high. I said, if I can get you through TSA without your ID, you have to go to rehab. He's like, done. So we go up to TCA and I said, but you can't talk. I got to do the talking. He's like, no problem. So I walk to the lady at TCA and I give her my ID. I said, look, my friend, he's special. He's got mental health issues, but he's really special. And he's a little Tourette's. And we lost his ID, but I've got to get him to Utah to see his family into a center. Is there any way you could just let us through? You can search us, do whatever you want. She's like, where are you from? I said, Australia. She's like, yeah, you're okay, sweetheart. So she lets me through. Wow. This is the best. So we walk through and he looks at me and I'm like this, don't you open your mouth, right? So we get through and he looks at me and he's like, what did you tell him? I said, I told him you had mental health issues because you do. and I've got to take you to rehab. He goes, that's all you said? I said, yeah, but look at you. You do have mental health issues. Now shut up and get on the plane. So I fly him to rehab, right? At the same time, there was another guy in the rehab, and they were sitting around in a group. And this one guy said, how'd you get here? He goes, oh, dude, this Australian guy tricked me. I didn't have ID. He's like, wait a sec, the guy with the goatee? He's like, yeah. He goes, what did he do to you? He goes, let me tell you something. We're sitting down with the family and everyone's reading letters. He's like, nah. He goes, he takes me to lunch. Because I was like, let me just take the guy to lunch, this other guy. And he ate up. And I said, look, I'm not going to tell you to go to rehab. You seem fine to me. But can I ask you a question? He said, yeah. I go, are you happy? And he's like, I'm miserable. I go, let's go to rehab. And he goes, all he asked me is, no one ever asked if I was happy.
Wow.
And that's the one thing people underestimate. If you're using, you're miserable deep down, really deep down. If you can slow someone down, get a little food in their belly, just be nice, and you just ask them, are they happy? If someone would have asked me back then, with all the stuff I had, Mike, are you happy? I'd be like, you know what, I'm not. I'm trying to fill the hole, but I'm not. How do I get happy? And as dumb as that sounds, it's such a simple thing because we're all searching for a little bit of happiness. That's it.
Yeah. I so love that. And one of the things that, one of the reasons I reached out to Dr. Rob was I knew that he was being recovered differently. I knew that he believed in the brain differently than my kids have been to 17, 16 rehabs, right? So it's like, I've been through all of this shit, right? With that. And they would tell me the same thing over and over again. Anyhow, so part of why I really wanted to create something with Dr. Rob is because I felt like we had a similar mindset. And I hear that with you, Mike. I hear that you have a similar mindset, but I'm curious, what do you think what needs to change in our culture, society, addiction response that would make a big difference? I hear what you're doing, but I'm curious what you believe is the.
I don't think there's enough money spent on actually helping young. First of all, if we go to it, let's talk kids under 18, which was me, with mental health issues, with learning disabilities. There's no funding in that. Like if the three of us, with people I know, George Mumford, for example, who's a big mindfulness coach, who I'm doing stuff with. If we could take kids for 180 days and work on the NLP stuff and meditation and food, and 180 days, you could turn a kid around. Now, if that kid doesn't have the right mentors, we create that situation. So then we know where he's not fitting into so-called schooling, because school is based on certain time to answer questions. I didn't process like that. They don't process like that. So if they've come from the abusive background, we get in them while they're young enough to change those neural pathways, right? The second flip is if they're coming out of jail. There is nothing for someone that's coming out of jail. So if you've served time, there has to be funding that says, okay, we're going to give you 6 months in this program. If you get through the program, we'll wipe the slate clean and give you a second chance. Who's doing that? No one's doing that. All we've got is Pfizer and all these companies giving people pain pills, opiate epidemic, and that's what's not happening with the mental health. There's no one out there going into someone's brain for 6 months, stripping them down, and not in a horrible way, but giving them getting through the toxic shame, getting through those things and saying, look, that's the past. Let's get amnesia. Let's figure out your inclination. Okay, you've got learning disabilities, but you're good at this. Maybe you're a good chef. Maybe you're a carpenter. Maybe you're actually good with something, but no one spent the time. And you've constantly built that neural pathway of fight, flight, and freeze. So your prefrontal cortex is not developed at that point. Even though it develops till 26, you've got an oversized amygdala. And you just live in survival, right?
And that's the way it is.
And no one's doing that work with, and that's why I do it with kids, and that's why I even spoke to Dr. Rob about an ex-Navy SEAL who's David Goggins' roommate. I said, we need to do a program, get a Navy SEAL, get Mumford, get you guys, where it's 180 days. That's 6 months. 6 months we lock you down, and we can change you in 6 months if you do the work.
And you know the success rate with there will be sky high.
Yeah,
because a couple of things happening. One, there's no profit in proper recovery, and the pharmaceutical company who runs the country, that company can't give you a pill for it, so nobody wants to do it unless it's for the right reason. And you get a bunch of guys who want to do it. And the other thing is, when I say to people that we're going to strip you down, like you just said, it's not a bad thing. I have self-sabotaging neural pathways. They need to be stripped. I don't need to run, a mile around the block at 5:30 in the morning and stand in my uniform, creased with black shoes polished, with a salute and breakfast on time. That's bullshit. It's changing the neural pathways. And we know we got billions. But self-sabotage neural pathways can, I found out 10 years ago, although I've been saying this for 20, can change permanently.
Yeah,
that's what it's about. And once we get the mindset that you're talking about, the 6 months of training and rehabilitation when it comes to the mind and the central nervous system, if you can develop the mind, neuroplasticity through NLP, and then you can look at the central nervous system through meditation and stuff like that, what you have is a straight thinking brain with a calm central nervous system, and you have a machine built for success. And
it's like this. If I said to you, Jennifer, what's the worst movie you've ever seen? Can you think of one, like a horror or a song that you hate?
Eddie Vedder, Pearl Jam song.
Perfect. If I told you to play Eddie Vedder all day, you'd be like, you're an idiot. I'm going to turn the tape off, right? So we're sitting here right now, the three of us. Yesterday is done. The only thing we have of yesterday is a memory that we have to bring in to our brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I know that, why would I play Eddie Vedder over and over and over again?
Right.
Because that's a lack of information and belief in oneself. So if we strip you down and we get into those neural pathways and we get amnesia from all that crap. Look, you can't flourish in life unless you de-weed.
Right.
There's always going to be weeds. What we want to do is strip the garden clear of this. There's some stuff that's good and there's stuff that's garbage.
Yeah.
But if you want to flourish, we've got to plant those seeds and then just keep fertilizing, growing, de-weed. And what people don't understand is it's work that has no end.
Yes.
So that's a good thing. That's a
good
uncover, discover.
Yes.
God. And it's kind of the same principle.
You know, it's like they say, if I had one meal a day, right? If I had one meal, like that's it. Yesterday, well, it doesn't keep me full today.
Yeah.
It's what are we doing? And it's information constant coming in. Where are you getting your information on? Look, I have ulcerative colitis. My wife said to me the other day, babe, let's go to Knott's Berry Farm. I said, I'm going to be shot for a week stomach-wise because I know the food doesn't agree with my system. I still run 10 miles a day with a bad stomach, right? And some days I'm like, oh, God, I got to be closer to the house. It took me a week to get my stomach back aligned. I only ate one junk food meal, but my body with the ulcerative colitis is very sensitive after stomach surgery, is like that. But I paid the price for a week. Now, I wasn't mad because we went to Knott's Berry Farm. We had a great time. But I know myself. I'm like, that's one meal. One meal. I don't watch reality TV. I don't watch crap unless it's giving me something of purpose that's teaching me.
Yeah.
I don't waste time with that. Look, I'll leave you with this. I always say to people, take your age from the number 80 because they say the average American lives to 80. And that's how many summers you've got left.
Wow.
Are you going to waste time?
Wow. Thank you.
That's a mind stopper right there.
Right?
Listen, Mike, we are running out of time. I just wish we could extend it for the next 3 or 4 hours.
Love you. I'm going to send you guys tubs of this.
Excellent.
Excellent. I can't wait.
Oh, and then I want to connect. I want to brainstorm and do like a panel, and we get like a great set of mindfulness, great people, put a program together that we all agree on, and then go out and pitch it to the world with my celebrity contacts and you guys, and let's go and help people.
Let's do it.
Guys, Mike Diamond was on the show. There's his website at the bottom. Find him on all the platform medias. And what a great guy. Thank you so much, Mike. We'll speak to you soon, man.
Love you.
Later. We'll be back right after this, guys. Hey guys, welcome to the back end of the show. My name's Dr. Rob the Addiction Doctor. If you've just joined us on Breaking Through Addiction, you missed a pretty good conversation, Jen, yeah?
Oh my gosh, it was amazing, powerful, loved it. Like, that guy's moving mountains. He's creating things that I don't even know what to say. I'm really actually speechless. And I'm actually really excited about taking some of his fuel. I think that's going to be badass.
Yeah, I can't wait to get it. And, the guy only works with the best of the best. So if we're on the panel as well, why wouldn't we on the panel? Because we are the best at what we do. So, he's always talking about, getting me involved and doing this and doing that. He's such a great guy. He just wants the best for everybody.
He does.
He has a radio show podcast, and they have, I don't know, thousands and thousands of shows behind them. And then when I was on it for the first 10 minutes, it's just like, he just thought I was the best thing in the world because I was just cursing and just telling it how it is. And he's just an amazing guy. Absolutely.
Yeah, he is amazing. You're amazing. We're all amazing. Let's do some good work out there. Have a wonderful day today. Thanks for this wonderful recovered show. And tomorrow we're back. We have more tomorrow, which is
have more tomorrow. We're banging it out of the park, girl.
Yeah, we are. Have an amazing day.
Yeah, you too, guys. And don't forget, we'll be on tomorrow. Again, I'll post it on Facebook. And also have a fantastic day, guys. Thanks for tuning in. From myself and Jennifer, we'll speak to you later, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.